Good morning, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Thanks so much for watching. All right, the long con. That's what Paul Cardwell did. Everybody knows it. He's confessed to it, found guilty of it. But how did the mechanics of the long con work? How did he get away with it for so long? How did he get caught? Well, we know what happened, and we're going to explain it because we've got experience with it. Stay in there. Hang in. Let's talk about it.
Why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Okay, so to briefly say this, we don't know all of what Paul has been detained, arrested, whatever, by immigration here. And we're not going to assume anything. Eventually, the truth will come out. Reality will happen. I have no idea. I don't think that, it doesn't matter what I think at this point. We're not one of those type of channels that goes out telling you we think this and we think that. We're going to tell you what we know. All right? So, how did he do this? How did he get this long con to work? How did he steal $1.6 million over a years long, decades almost long period of time from two hospitals in the U.S.? Well, it actually wasn't difficult at all. We have been in high-end healthcare for many years before I retired. All right. My own practice. All right. I had partners. We're very familiar with exactly what's happened here. So let us try and explain it to you. Hospitals don't have the resources. Rural hospitals, small country hospitals. They don't have the resources to advertise and do searches for physicians and even high-level employees nationwide. They just don't have it. And even as much as 10, 15 years ago, people like that, they don't look at the want ads, okay? They go to a recruiter, and the recruiter does it all. They go to a recruiter. A physician will go to a recruiter and say, hey, in fact, more often than not, the recruiters actually go to where the physicians are in school, finishing up their fellowship or their residency, and they recruit there. Okay? So the physician will say, I want to work in this area, but I'm open to, and I want to make this much money, and I want these things, and I want this much time off, and I only want to take call so many nights a week or so many nights a month, or I want a OR that's fully equipped with this equipment. I mean, these are very specific things. You can have a cardiothoracic surgeon here and another one here. And this one will not go into that OR to do a bypass simply because he doesn't like the equipment that this guy uses. Not that, it's different techniques. They're trained in different facilities. They're used to different equipment. So all of these things are part of the recruiting process. Okay? And then there are the practice pieces that go as well. So these doctors will tell recruiters, this is what I want. Recruiters will also then turn around and start canvassing hospitals. And hospitals will contact recruiters. Now, they also do that with CEOs, CFOs, CIOs, CTOs, because they don't have the resources to do that either. And that's what happened in this instance. So there was a company, Health Tech, who recruited Paul to work for them to go be interim, which often turns into permanent positions, CEOs at hospitals. Paul went to one. That's how he got started. And by all accounts, he did a pretty good job according to the growth itself. However, along the way, he skimmed a bunch of money. So what he did was he set up a side company with a friend of his. And that company acted as a recruiting firm. And whether that company went out and found doctors, whether doctors approached them, or in many instances, some instances, let's get it straight. I mean, you know this. You've worked. Everybody that's watching this video, I'm sure, has had a job. And there are good people and bad people. There are good doctors and bad doctors, or average doctors. Average doctors, they actually do have to go look for employment. All right? It's not like they go to them. They actually have to go look. And when they present themselves, well, there's no recruiting firm fee. And those fees are high, very high. All right? Anywhere between $35,000 and $65,000, even higher for, say, a neurosurgeon that's experienced, willing to move to Podunk, Alaska, or, Bent Knee, Arkansas. Those hospitals pay dearly to recruit those kind of doctors. Now, somehow Paul and his buddy are finding these guys. And Paul goes through the interview process, arranges everything. And what typically is the recruiting firm is supposed to help that physician negotiate their contract for the best terms possible. Because these physicians want to be guaranteed, at least the first year, guaranteed a certain salary, because they're building a practice, even if they're going to be their own employee eventually. All right. But either way, we're not going to get into the depths of that. So every time Paul would recruit one of these guys, there would be an invoice from this side company, and it would be sent to the hospital Paul was at. As the CEO, he would sign off on it. And Health Tech, who's probably handling the finances for that hospital as well, oh, it's Paul, it's one of our guys. It's good. His buddy would get the money, Paul and he would split it. I don't know what the ratios were. I have no idea. That's how the con worked. Hospitals were paying for services that they didn't need to pay for, and probably paying inflated prices. I mean, when you think about it, it's not hard to pad that kind of a bill. When you're used to paying $40,000 for a recruiting firm and you pay $45,000, well, that's not really that uncommon. It happens. So Paul and his buddies split the money. Well, what then happens, unfortunately for Paul, hospitals grow. As they grow, they want to finance growth. It's an age-old adage of business. Why use my money when I can use somebody else's money cheaper? And in those years, you could definitely borrow money cheaper than you could use your own. So let's say you want to buy a new MRI unit, or you want to do this, you want to do that, or you want to put an entire new wing up or building. You've got to get a loan. And when you go get that loan, there's going to be a forensic analysis of your finances as the hospital. And that's what happened. And during that, somebody started to notice all of these payments to that side firm. And when they did that, because it was over time, they take a hard look over 5 years. It's usually a 5-year look. Sometimes it's 3, but most of the time it's a 5-year look. All right. I've seen it actually even be a 10-year look. Okay. Depending on the amount of money and the process and the actual project. And that's where somebody caught on to it. They did the investigation and they found out. And then they went after it. Now, one of the things that I would dispel that comes across a lot of other blogs is the amount of money these hospitals lost. They didn't lose a penny in actual cash. Now, they were insured. Insurance companies paid. Number 2, Health Tech, the company that hired Paul, that probably was supplying the CFO, approving these on top of Paul's approval, they paid also to the hospitals. All right. Now, but if you've ever been involved in a forensic analysis of your business with a forensic CPA, you know good and well the time it takes and the resources are extensive. I should throw something in. Hey, look, if you enjoy the information that we put out, if you enjoy the effort we put into these videos, please do subscribe and hit that thumbs up. We'd certainly appreciate it. Now, with that being said, so that's what happened. How Paul and why Paul got nabbed this time around by immigration, I just don't know. But in the comments below, give us your ideas. What do you think happened? Personally, what I think happened, I think it was a issue of the amount of angst that Paul created way back when, and during that period of time, Bureau of Immigration got reported, but Paul eventually left the country and went back to the U.S. And I still suspect that Paul was in the U.S. still to do something with his court cases. I think he was trying to get his record expunged. I really and truly do. I think that might have been it, but I could be totally wrong. All right. But either way, when he came back and they looked deeper into him, they saw all of this from the past, and they decided he's not welcome here. I don't think he's, and we'll know if Paul gets escorted back to the U.S. by the FBI, because that's who would escort him, all right, if he has a federal warrant out there. If Paul gets escorted back, then there's a new charge, all right? Could it be he didn't pay restitution? Could it be one of a million things? It could be. It could be the Philippines just said, you know what? We don't want people like you here. That's simple. Either way, let us know in the comments what you think. We'd certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.